Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, John G. Williams.
Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for joining me in another episode of Bravery Within. I'd like to say thank you again so much for tuning into the podcast. They're continuing to be quite popular, which is actually quite shocking to me. I didn't think there'd be as many people listening as there are, but I want to say thank you to you all. Like I said before, we're being heard in 4 countries now, which I think is amazing. It's a lot more than I ever expected, but I'm glad that folks are tuning in. You're letting me know what you think, talking to me a little bit more, asking questions. It's been fantastic. So I want to say thank you for joining in and listening to the podcast. So today I thought we would go through a little bit deeper into my own weight loss journey to try to give you a little bit of an idea of what I do on a daily basis and a little bit of what I eat. So one thing that I learned when I started down this road, I knew I had to do a lot of learning, had to do a lot of switching in, the way I eat, my thinking, my processing and everything there. But one thing that I learned is I needed to bounce up my protein is what I learned, because that is kind of your building blocks for your whole body is what I learned. Being that I live out here in the middle of the Midwest and stuff there, a lot of us are raised there. I mean, there's a lot of ranchers, a lot of farmers that are around us and stuff. So they still have the old, your meals consist of basically meat and taters constantly. And I was raised that way, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that and stuff there. But apparently my body did, because all I ate was carbs and bad stuff for me. And that's what led me to over 300 pounds of extra weight. And that thinking, that mentality and stuff there works for farmers and ranchers that are out there. And, we thank them every day for all the hard work that they do and their long days that they do. But for somebody like me that just sits behind a desk there, and I get to walk around the shop once in a while and, stretch my legs. But for the most part, it all comes back to, way too many calories I was intaking, too many carbs and everything there. So what I had to do is I had to go back to the drawing books and, to figure out, okay, what do I need to do different? And the first thing that I learned, and I bounced it up and got more into it, was protein. So I thought today would be a good podcast about that there to try to help you a little bit there with some of the protein that I take in. So episode 13 is just called Protein. Very simple, very straightforward. Some of the things that we're going to be going through today is the importance of protein for your own weight loss journey. Foods that contain high levels of protein to try to help a little bit. And the last one there, I've tried in a couple episodes to try to work this in, and I'm going to get it worked in today, is respecting yourself. It's okay to put yourself first from time to time. So those are the 3 things that we're going to be rolling through today in this podcast. So grab that jerky and the cheese stick there, so that way you got a little bit of a treat, settle in, and let's get started on today's podcast. The first thing we're going to talk about is the importance of protein for your own journey. And like I said, for mine, I had to learn real fast there that I needed to bounce up the meats and the cheeses, the eggs, and everything there, because protein is basically what helps everything in the body. It helps process stuff, keeps you feeling fuller longer. I noticed that when I was going through, especially in the beginning there, I learned really, really fast that when you do such a monstrous shift like what I have done, it shocks the body. It does not like it. I've learned through lots of research and stuff there, your body fights you in change. It doesn't like to change. It has its own way of doing things. So like I've told you in the past there, when I dove off the end and went from 7,000 calories a day and dropped it to 1,200 right out of the shotgun, it was an immense shock to my body. It did not like it. It fought me. It still fights me every day. It's getting better. We're starting to have a little bit of a truce, but it still wants to do its own thing. And I had to learn really, really fast. Okay, well, I can't run to the cupboard there and get the chips and the crackers and the cookies and all that stuff there to try to help pull me through. I had to figure out, okay, well, if I don't have that to fall back on, then I have to figure out, okay, how am I going to get through this without starving to death? which that's one thing that I really worried about when I first started. Was as crazy as it sounds, but yeah, I actually worried about I was going to starve to death on my own weight loss journey, because it's like, okay, I cut out everything that I knew and everything that I understood and my way of doing things for 48 years, 47 at that time, I guess. And it was just like, okay, what do I do? Luckily, I had my son that helped me. He helped walk me through some of the protein stuff. He's done a lot of the muscle building and working out and stuff. So he gave me a lot of pointers to get started on, where to go, how to handle this stuff. So I got rid of those cravings. They're always there. You can mute them, you can tone them down some. But for me, their cravings are always there. I fight them on a daily basis. As I've told you many times before, that little voice in the back of your head that just says, oh yeah, you can have that lemon meringue pie, or you can have those cookies, or you can have those stuff. And protein actually helps kind of like calm that little guy down. He never fully goes away, because it's just the way he is. But one thing that I learned there is the protein will help pull me through. It got rid of a lot of the cravings. It helped me feel that I was full. You can actually eat less calories, but as long as you balance up your protein, it actually helps you stay fuller. So it helps you during your weight loss journey. So I learned that one pretty quick, because it helped pull me through. And basically, protein, when you break it all down, protein is like a main component for your muscles, your skin, your bones, organs, hormones, everything. Everything in your body basically is built off of protein. It makes up so much in your body. So one thing that I learned right away is I needed to increase that, so that way I could get rid of everything. But another thing that I learned too is because I at one point I was actually working out a little bit there with resistance bands. I was doing more muscle building, because I was worried about my muscles, falling apart. Because as we've covered in previous episodes and stuff there, the body attacks the muscles first, because it's the easiest to tear apart compared to the fat cells. So I was actually worried about losing muscle mass. And given my age, I'm 48, given my age, I was actually worried about losing more, because you do lose more. I mean, as men get older and stuff there, and ladies, I mean, that just, our bodies just change. Things aren't working quite as well. There's more pain. So I was really, really worried about, okay, am I going to lose muscle mass? It's not that I have a lot of extra muscle mass to work with. Let's be honest. I'm a desk jockey. I'm not out there, busting concrete or roofing or, construction or anything like that there, where you're utilizing your body, so you naturally build muscle. But I didn't have that. So I was actually really worried about losing what muscle mass that I had. So the protein helped me out with that there. It helps basically repair everything in your body, your cells. It uses the amino acids and stuff there, so that way your body can break it down and rebuild the muscles. So when I started working out for the little time that I did, it helped. I noticed that I had to really bounce up again, had to really bounce up the protein, so that way the body would repair itself and I could keep going. So it's been a long road. I'm constantly learning. I'm always figuring new things out, but given a little bit of time, it's really come together. So all I can hope for is continuing to learn, continuing to do the right things. I continue to do, thanks to the podcast, I have to admit, I do more research. I'm trying to learn more. It's because everything I want to bring to the table, I want to make sure that it's the right information for you. And hopefully it's something that you can utilize. You might see something a different way or from a different perspective, and that's what I'm hoping for. But some of the things that I learned while going through this and what protein can do is it reduces appetite and hunger levels. There's three breakdowns. When you break down anything, there's fats, there's carbs, there's proteins. Now, granted, you have to have all three all the time. But one thing that I learned is I have to have more protein more than anything else. Lord knows I got enough fat that I'm trying to get rid of. And carbs, I love absolutely noodles, Italian food. Those are all fully loaded in carbs. You still have to have some carbs into your diet. There's no getting around it because that's your basic instant fast energy. But you have to limit what they are. And let me tell you, that really stunk for the first 4 or 5 months. It took me a long time to get rid of those carb cravings. And I still get them from time to time, but I got to be honest, I don't get them anywhere near as what I used to anymore. So even like when you would go out and eat and stuff there, you would always drive by some fast food place. Well, most all that there is deep fat fried there because they need the speed. They need to get it run through and to help as many people as they can. Well, after I got away from all the deep fat fried food and stuff there, my body just absolutely does not like it anymore. So I try to do more cooking at home, and to do that, then I use the meats and the eggs and anything else that I can basically bounce up from my protein levels and stuff. It's the only way that I can get through, and I don't struggle with all the cravings. It's just every time you turn around, it's something else there that I'm learning. But I just like it because it reduces the appetite, and I feel like I'm fuller all the time. I've noticed that when I don't eat enough, it's like, oh my goodness sakes, it's like, okay, I got to go get more. So I try to always keep like cooked cheesy brats around, or I keep meat sticks or cheese or anything there, so that way when I get that urge where I just don't feel like I'm full or I'm hungry, it's in there. I'll buy a couple rotisserie chickens, keep them in the fridge, and then I'll peel off some of the chicken and stuff like when I get home, to try to pull through until I can make supper. It helps me so that way I'm not going and getting the chips and everything. So that's just one thing that I do and stuff there. It reduces the appetite and stuff. So it helps. I think it would help you. Increases muscle mass and strength. We all, like I basically indicated before, as we get older, you just naturally lose muscle. Our bodies, we've put them through so much abuse and use and everything there, and it's anything that you can do to try to protect that muscle. I do take a supplement to protect my muscles, basically because with the changes that I didn't want to lose my muscles, so I take a supplement to protect them, which has made a big difference. And if anything, I've actually increased in mass. And hopefully when I get to the end of my journey where I want to be weight-wise, then I'll start working in strength training again, because then I'll feel that I'm comfortable doing it. Right now, I'm so afraid that if I go and do that, if I increase my caloric intake there to compensate for it, I'm afraid that, like what I've done in the past, is once you start sliding a little bit, and it's not really sliding, but in my mind it is. Like I said, it's a mental game. I'm afraid that I would just chuck the whole thing out the window and then go back to the way it was and then gain all my weight back. And this past year and a half will be thrown out the window for no reason. So right now, this is the way that I have to do it. It probably won't work for you. It could work for you. I don't know. It's completely up to you. That's why these podcasts are here, is to let you make the best decisions you can, because it's your body. But it does increase muscle mass, and I would like to increase a little bit more. So hopefully that when I get to the end of the journey, then I will be able to, work out with the resistance bands. I found that's really good because my joints are in tough shape. But this one here isn't a jolt. It isn't deadlifts. It isn't anything like that. It's actually really, really smooth, repetitive motion. So it was actually really good. It didn't hurt my joints, but yet I got to work out and keep my muscles going. So I'm hoping to get back to that someday. It's good for your bones. It's really, really actually helps build things, shockingly, because, I'll be the first one to admit there that, I'm a little bit klutzier when I'm out and about. And we all know as you get older, bones get brittle. So anything that can help them heal a little bit more or give them a little bit more strength, trying to keep osteoporosis at bay. I mean, it's just, everything that you can do, anything you can protect. And if I can eat a little bit more hamburger or chicken or pork or something like that to help, by golly, I'm going to do it. It's going to help out. Like I said before, it reduces cravings. And I have noticed that by balancing out my protein, I don't seem to have, where that desire where I get up at, midnight and wander around the house and stuff there because I can't sleep. Then I would find myself over at the cupboard over there grabbing cookies and chips and, everything else. So it helps pull me through for, any time that, late night snacking. It helps pull me through, so I don't feel so where I have to go over there because I'm worried about, okay, well, I need something to get myself through the night. It helps out incredibly with that. So I'm hoping that, it will help you as well. It boosts metabolism, all the while, and not just metabolism, but it also, increases the fat burning, system in your body. it's actually really, really cool to think that just something simple as, like the chicken that you had, the rotisserie chicken, I love rotisserie chicken, but something as simple as that can help actually charge up your system and help process things through, help pull you through. It's incredible, the power of protein. And I know some of you and stuff there are probably thinking, oh my goodness, okay, you can stop talking about protein. But the one I honestly think this is probably the most key ingredient in my arsenal for my own weight loss journey. It helps in so many different ways. But if I can boost my metabolism by doing that, by just eating a little bit more or eating a little bit better, that's fantastic, because it leaves you fuller. So you're going to burn more fat while you're going through your journey. And to me that's a win-win. And I'll take that all day, all day long. I mean, it's great. With all the stress that we got going through our lives, home, work, and everything else, protein can actually lower your blood pressure, which is, that's going to help you, avoid a heart attack or stroke, or, or some people and stuff there, like diabetes runs in my family really bad, so then I worry about kidney disease. It's going to help all of those things there. It's basically, it stabilizes your blood sugars, which is going to ultimately end up helping your blood pressure. If you can keep that stuff down, of course that's just good all the way across the board, because that does help out with controlling migraines, which I suffer from. I have noticed that since I've been on this journey that my migraines have gotten better. I would go sometimes as much as 10 days straight with a migraine, and it was just miserable. The average length was probably 3-4 days when I'd get a migraine. But I've learned through this, and by eating better, and I'm not sure if there's one certain thing that triggered my migraines. I was never able to figure that out. I mean, we all know that the weather can trigger them. It's just there's a lot that goes on. But I mean, if you can lower your blood pressure, that's always going to help. I try to, any chance I get, try to put the blood pressure cuff on my arm, and I was running a little bit higher. I was starting to climb a little bit there before I started my weight loss journey, and now it's actually gotten better. So that it helped out there. A1Cs, it helped out. It helped my LDLs. Everything just is starting to come around here, and the body's starting to basically come into where it needs to be. Too bad it took me 48 years to figure that out, but I guess better late than never. So and of course it's going to help you maintain weight loss. One recommendation is, to be honest, is that they're saying that you should have between 15 and 35% of your caloric intake should actually be protein, so that way it'll help you. I am significantly above that. Most of my intake is just protein. It's just, you got your cheeses, your eggs, your meats, you've got all of that stuff there. And probably my intake is probably 75%. I will not eat vegetables. They're just, I love a good chef salad, don't get me wrong. But all your asparagus and broccoli and cauliflower, yuck, that'll never, ever change. So I have to make up for other things, and those things are good. I mean, yes, you have to work vegetables in. I can hear people out there going, you need vegetables. I just keep it very limited on what I eat, and I'm very particular and very picky about my food, and those just don't have a place for me. So my probably protein intake is probably 70-75% of my overall diet, just because it helps me stay full. I'm 6'3", so my frame is bigger. I need more energy to keep everything going in the right direction. I need more energy to keep the vital functions going, to keep my mind going. But ultimately, it helps me with weight loss because you eat less. If you feel fuller, you're going to take in less calories because you're not thinking, okay, I'm hungry. Overall, it's going to help you stay the course. I gotta say, it's probably been the most important thing that I have done for my weight loss journey, and I think it would probably help you out too. So, after all that and stuff there, like I said there, it helps repair the body. But the best part is it kind of helps you stay in shape, stay fit, keep the muscles rocking and rolling in the right direction. So there's just everything about it. There's just really not a lot of bad stuff about protein. They help you all the way across the board. I know some people there will go down the road and basically drink protein shakes, and those are fine. I mean, there's only so much, chicken and meat and pork and all that stuff that you can eat. And then some people, I know they're not a big fan of it, but they got to get protein in the body. So then they'll switch over to a protein shake. A lot of them are. There's like 4 different kinds of protein shakes that you can get. The most popular, I think, probably is whey. I don't do well with whey. I've tried it. It doesn't set well with me, but a lot of people do. There's soy, there's egg, and then there's one I hadn't heard of before. It's a pea protein. Basically just working with your vegetables and stuff. But there's so many vegetables that actually are good for you as well. They're loaded in protein that will help you. So I know there's a lot of folks that don't eat meat. So then you just shift gears like what I've done and everything else. You just shift gears and just make sure you get the right vegetables that do have the protein levels in it to help pull you through. But I know there's a lot of people that drink high protein shakes, and on average, I mean, you can get a lot out of it. You can get, on a lot of the shakes and stuff there, you can get like 17 grams of protein out of it. I mean, it's amazing. And depending on what else you work into it, you can put in almond milk, you can put in regular milk, you put in berries. If you have to sweeten it, you can use stevia or just some sort of a healthy sweetener, the ice and stuff. You can actually continue to bounce up your protein if you wanted to load it up even more. But I know a lot of people drink the protein shakes. I tried it, but for something about it there, something didn't set well with me, so I can't drink those. So I just stick to the regular food to get my protein. I still kind of snoop around and stuff because it would be nice to have something different to drink throughout the day. I just haven't been able to find it yet, but I'm still working on it. My son's helping me out, and he snoops around and stuff there, and he's always watching. He's been huge on helping out with all that. It's been fantastic, so I can't thank him enough. But in your smoothies and stuff there that you make there, your shakes and stuff, if you wanted to put in, you could put in more protein powder if you wanted to bounce that up. You can add, a lot of people will add peanut butter, flax seeds, chia seeds, anything like that. That's going to bounce up, your overall protein level. So you're really going to be cruising right along there. And that's really, really good for before you work out. It gives you a good hit, so that way your muscles can, bounce back there. It'll get worked into the system. It'll give you energy. I know a lot of people do that there to try to help them out. One thing that I read in a study and stuff there, which was actually really cool, men with obesity consuming 25% of their calories from protein increased feelings of fullness, which we've been talking about, reduced the cravings, and the part that got me was it's the obsessive thoughts were reduced by 50 to 60% respectively, which is cool because, like I said, you've always got that voice in the back of your head that's always telling you need to eat, you need to have this, it's okay to have this. But I thought that was really cool, and I have learned that even through my own trials and tribulations, that the more protein I have, I actually don't think about it, because that's all I worried about before I started my weight loss journey was, okay, well, I'm having breakfast, what am I going to have for lunch? I mean, I'm having breakfast, and I lead right away into what am I going to have for lunch? And it's and as soon as I got to lunch, then that turned into, okay, what am I going to have for supper? And then what am I going to have for a snack? I mean, my mind literally was consumed by what am I going to eat next? So for me, if you can reduce those thoughts, I mean, I think that's fantastic. It helped me out. There was a study for women, because I want to make sure that all my lady friends and stuff out there, the ones, the listeners, they're part of this too. When they increase their protein intake to 30% of the calorie, your daily caloric intake, they lost 11 pounds right out of the shotgun just by introducing more protein into their diet. I saw that and I was like, oh, wow, that is really, really cool. That's great. Anything that you can, basically turn the edge, get the edge on, get the advantage of through your weight loss journey, you want to take full advantage of it. And I thought that was, a really, really cool thing. And they lost 11 pounds over 12 weeks. I mean, that's incredible. That's a lot of weight loss. And typically once you start seeing that, then you're going to jump on the bandwagon and say, okay, I can stick with this. I can do this. But they recommended, like I said before, 10 to 35% of your daily caloric intake should be protein, which is on average 200 to 700 calories on a 2,000 calorie diet. So, of course, you have to adjust that, depending on where you're at. And they rated that for 150 pound female and 180 pound male. So depending on where you're at on the scale on weight wise and stuff, then you just have to adjust that a little bit. But like me, I'm always under the 2,000 calorie diet day because I want to make sure that I'm continuously burning calories, continuously trying to do all I can to try to take the fat off. But I just thought those were really, really neat numbers to bring to the table to let you know that it doesn't take much, changes wise. Sometimes just the simple changes can really make a huge difference in your weight loss journey. So then I thought, okay, well, if you're supposed to have, 40 grams, basically 40 grams of carbs or protein and stuff, they don't recommend having any more than 40 grams about every 6 hours because there's only so much your body can process. That's one thing that I learned. I thought because I was so focused on making sure that I ate enough protein that when I went into my supplement store and stuff, he actually told me that you have to be careful. There's only so much you can eat. And then my son basically the same day told me, he said, you got to be careful how much you eat because it after about every about 40 grams, after that your body won't process anymore, and then it just gets rid of it. So you're working too hard at that point. But so then I got to think, okay, well, what is 10 grams? If I got to have 40 grams, what does 10 grams look like? So basically that is like 2 small eggs, or 2.5 tablespoons of peanut butter, a cup of cooked quinoa, 3/4 cup cooked black beans, 1 cup uncooked oats, or like a half cup of Greek yogurt. And surprisingly, when I read through that and I looked at it and I go, well, that really isn't that much, but yet you get so much out of it. It was incredible. It kind of like blew my mind. It was like, holy cow. So, I mean, for me, like when I make my breakfast, I have 4 or 5 eggs along with, sausage or cheesy brats or, something like that there. I'm working on, making my own omelets and stuff, which I do those where I'll put in, you get your meats, your cheeses, I'll typically put 3 different kinds of meats in there, a couple different cheeses along with the eggs. So I really, really load up on the protein in the morning because I find like on the weekends, I typically will only eat like twice a day. I normally skip the lunch because we're so busy. So I try to really super front load on my breakfast so that way I can pull through. I mean, I may have like, a couple little snacks or whatever, but then when I get to supper, then, typically supper is around 4 or 5 o'clock. It helps me get to that point. During the week and stuff, I eat 3 meals a day. I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner because that's what helps. But they're a lot smaller. Breakfast and lunch are a lot smaller. I take in far few calories than what I do for supper because supper is a longer run. I mean, if I eat at 5, I don't typically have breakfast until 6:30 in the next morning. So that's 13 and a half hours that I go without taking in anything. So I have to be really careful and I have to plan right. Because if I don't, then you have a tendency to bottom out, and that to me is I'm learning as I'm going is when I do bottom out now, it's a lot worse than what I bottomed out when I began with because my body had more resources I could go to, and now that I've got myself so restricted back. When I bottom out, because I don't have enough in me and things, I really pay for it. I hurt really, really bad. I get really, really grouchy and mean. And the part that it scares me the most is it can take up to 24 hours before I start feeling like myself again because I ran too low on carbs and protein and everything else. So I have to be really, really careful with that. So that's why I try to keep, things that are really, really easy to grab in the fridge. So that way, when I do hit those moments, I can get through them without bottoming out. And if you do anything like what I'm doing here, you're gonna at some point run out of, essentially you run out of fuel and your body has to go. I mean, it'll only take so much from your fat reserves before it just throws you into chaos. And it does. I mean, a lot of times where I've figured out too is it will give me a horrible migraine after a little while because it's just tired of me saying, oh, you know what, you've run me low long enough. You need to eat something. And sometimes I don't even realize that I bottomed out. I think I've done good. I take in my caloric intake, I take in my protein, my carbs, but sometimes I don't know if I just get too busy at work or if there's just too much going on. Or I notice that like when it's cold outside, we just got done through winter, your body's going to take more to stay warm and keep everything going. So I was learning through that point of, okay, well, I need to bounce it up a little bit. And sometimes just something as simple as an extra 100 calories makes a big difference. So watch your your protein, but I thought, just the eggs and the peanut butter and the yogurt, anything like that really, really helps out. So that's something simple for you to kind of keep in mind as you're going through your own weight loss journey. So if one thing that I guess the thing that I can probably say the most is working in more protein into your, I know I've beat this home and stuff there, but it's so important for you to basically work more into, even if it is a shake, it doesn't matter. However you want to get it into. One thing, so you're supposed to get, the 40 grams per 4 hours. Try not to go more than 125 grams per day. Now, take into account that your muscle builders are they're gonna take in more. They're gonna need more because they're tearing their muscles down and building them back up again so they can become bigger and stronger. So you have to weigh this all in count. But on the average, 40 grams for every 4 to 6 hours is pretty much recommended. No more than 125 per day. So keep that in mind. But if you're trying to dig into a little bit further, I know I had some of those like little items, and then so I thought, okay, well, what if you put stuff together, what's it look like? So if you need between 15 and 30 grams for every 4 to 6 hours in regular foods, putting together like a banana, Greek yogurt, and a hard-boiled egg, you get 19 grams of protein, boom, right out of the shotgun. Of course, these are averages, but that's pretty much where they fall into. The part that I like, which I have a lot for my lunches, is chicken breast, some rice, like a half cup rice, half cup of vegetables. That part gets left out, so I bounce up the chicken a little bit more. But that takes you to like 25 grams of protein, which is going to help pull you through the day. My lunches are typically consisting of either hamburgers, chicken, pork, anything like that. And it's just mostly protein to help me get through the day. I do have a little bit of carbs because I do some thinking at work, so I need the carbs to keep the mind going. But that's pretty much what my lunches consist of. You can also do an egg, bean burrito, and a glass of milk. That's 28 grams of protein. It's incredible how fast you can climb. And there really isn't that much to it. I mean, even when you're doing your weight loss journey and stuff there, these are wonderful little tidbits to help you kind of plan your day, to kind of help pull you through. So it's actually really easy to get enough protein in your diet. It's just a matter of what you like. I mean, you have to, pretty much gauge what you want, what you enjoy, while trying to, be the best that you can. This is the way I go about it. I'll be honest. I mean, most of my diet is protein. But I like the meats and the cheeses and the eggs and stuff there. So for me, that helps pull me through. But some of the, you got some of the foods that really, really have high levels of protein. You got your lean meats. That's one thing you really want to watch. You got your beef, your lamb, veal, pork, kangaroo. You've got all of those for really, really lean meats. That way you're not putting more fat into your body. Poultry, which I can't get enough chicken. But a couple weeks ago, I made up a turkey. So that way I had leftovers throughout the week. You can have duck, goose, any of the bush birds to get through it and stuff there. That's where your pheasants and your grouse and everything there. Those are really, really good for it. I grew up on those. I'm starting to learn to eat more fish and seafood, but fish is fantastic for you. Prawns, crab, lobsters, mussels, oysters, scallops, clams, any of that stuff there. That's all really, really good, really loaded in protein. So if that's something that you enjoy, you might want to work more of those into your diet. So that way, you can work, get some more protein in it. Eggs, I eat tons of eggs. Love them. When we were going through the egg prices and stuff there, it was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get through this? But you end up doing it. But dairy products, the ones that I hang to is I can't drink milk. It just doesn't agree with me. But I eat tons of cheese to try to make up for it. Peanut butter, yogurt. They lean more towards the Greek yogurt for it's a little bit better for you. But overall, your meats, your poultry, and your eggs, those are the best protein foods that you can actually work into your everyday diet. So then I thought, okay, I like these, and I know there's people out there that like vegetables, so I went to work and to try to figure out which vegetables are high in protein. The best things, the highest level ones that you can get are green peas. Those are really good. I've had them out of the garden before. They're actually pretty good. There's some things that I do like for vegetables. I just don't eat a ton of them. The next one there is spinach, a spinach salad. I have had those. Those are actually pretty good. Throw some, some extra, make it into basically a chef salad. And for me, it's fantastic. I'll eat it. Collard greens, sweet corn, both of those are good. Mustard greens, lima beans, not a fan of, and asparagus and broccoli, not a fan of, but those are all exceptionally high in protein. So, if you don't like meats, which I know there's a lot of folks that don't, these are some of the vegetables that will help pull you through to work into your overall diet that you're having on a daily basis to bounce up, so you don't have to. They're great for caloric intake. You're not going to overload on that, but you still get all the nutrients that you need. So those are just some of the things that I found. Hopefully those vegetables help you. I mean, I don't eat many of them, but I do have some of them. So, but that's kind of my journey. That's what I work into my system. And like I said, it's a constant battle. So just give yourself time to change. I know there's a lot of folks out there that are just starting their weight loss journey. And remember, give yourself time to adapt to this new way of thinking, new way of doing things, new way of eating. It doesn't happen overnight. Just keep in mind there that, remember, the weight didn't go on overnight. It's not going to come off overnight. Yes, we all want it to. Yes, we all like to be a size 0 again and be skinny like what we were in our teens. But remember, it's not going to happen overnight. So be proud, be happy with yourself. Even if you lose a pound a week, that's fantastic. That's still weight going in the right direction. That's still weight. You figure that out, that's 52 pounds in a year. I mean, that's incredible. Just by making simple changes to everything, it can really actually help pull you through. You feel better, and just don't be too hard on yourself. Give yourself time to settle into this new way of doing it. And if you're like me, that we've been tootling down this road now for quite a while. You just give yourself time, credit. It's not going to come off. You're going to plateau. You're going to, get stuck for a while. Just don't get too discouraged about it. I mean, we all do. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I get discouraged when I plateau, and it's like, oh, good Lord, am I ever going to start losing weight again? But you will. Change things up sometimes when you plateau. By changing things as much as 100 calories, add an extra 100 calories, it throws your body into chaos, and it's going, okay, well, I got more to work with, so then it'll start moving again. And once it starts moving, then back off the 100 calories again and continue on the way you work. But sometimes you got to shock the system to say, okay, you know what, you need to get going again. You're getting comfortable. You're happy. We don't want that. We don't want you unhappy for the most part. So that way it'll just keep burning the fat and everything. It'll help you out in the end. So, but that's kind of my journey. That's, diving further into, and I know you're tired of hearing about the protein, so I'm going to let it end there and stuff and get to the third and final part of today's episode, which is respecting yourself. It is okay to put yourself first from time to time. I wanted to talk about this one here because there's a lot of us, that are out there, and all we do is we think about everybody else. We want to help everybody else. We're there for our families. We're there for our friends. And one thing that I've learned, hard way of learning, a school of hard knocks and everything else, is I don't put myself first. And there are times, especially with this weight loss journey that you're tootling down the road with, you have to actually continue to think of yourself a little bit. And I have a hard time because I think I'm being self-centered, I'm being egotistical when I do it. And it's not true. And this is one of the rewiring processes that I'm still going through, still trying to figure out how to make this change, make it work. So one thing I wanted to, and today this is going to be on a positive note, is putting yourself first. With everything that I have went through in my entire life, having to start over, losing everything at least 3 times in my life, pulling through COVID, pulling through losing my house, divorce, just suicide. Everything there. The rude and nasty comments that I would continuously get because of my weight. People would give you those nasty looks and those scowls, and they would make just rude comments. Everything about me, basically my morale and my self-worth, it took a hit, and it's been really, really hard to basically rebuild myself because I'm so worried about being egotistical. I've always worked hard not to be that way. I'm a giver. I want to help people. Obviously, that's why I do a podcast, because I want to help everybody. There's enough negativity. There's enough, meanness. There's enough backstabbing. There's enough all that stuff that's out there. One thing about these podcasts is I want it to be positive for you. I want it to be a safe area for you to come here and get information and feel, because you are part of a family. I mean, we all are. I mean, we're one extended family that are listening to this podcast because we're all in this together. And that's one thing that I wanted to basically, I wanted to let you know you're not alone out there. I know there's times that you probably feel that way, but you're not. So it's okay to put yourself first, because you're doing a physical change, but you also are doing a mental change. And the mental aspect, as I continue to say, it's very, very hard. It's very difficult to get through. You fight your mind so much. So do things that help you. Some of the things that that I do personally, I have my down days. Everybody does. It's just what happens. But one thing that there's a bunch of different things that I do and to help pull me through. I go for drives in the hills. I listen to music. I'm a huge 80s fan. Then I sing along. Most of the time, I'm always by myself. I won't subject anybody to my singing, but I get out there. That basically helps me, recharge, reset. Just like yesterday, I played cards with the family. It was a lot of fun. It doesn't cost anything to sit around the table and talk to each other and let each other vent about the week or things that bother them, or if they want help or something. But you sit around and play cards. I know that's an old school way of thinking, but out where I live out here in the middle of Podunk, we still are. We're still, there's a lot of old school ways that still happen out here, and playing cards is a huge thing. We enjoy the heck out of it there. It doesn't cost anything. You can sit around the table and, have a drink. I drink Mountain Dew or water, one of the two and stuff there. Sometimes I'll make up, a treat or something like that there for us while we're doing it. I personally read and write my own books. I have a bunch that are published. I have 4 that I've self-published. I've got a total of 3 other books that are written and done. They just haven't been published, but that helps me. I get lost in that world, so I don't think about food. I don't worry about the comments. I don't worry about life for a little while. I don't worry about bills, so that helps me. Sit out on the deck and just listen to the birds, watch them fly around and everything there. That helps me. I've gone to the park and just sat there at a picnic table and watched the water flow through in the creek, or watch people walk by with their pups, just things like that. One other thing I try to do is I try to find new recipes to help out on my weight loss journey. I've found a few interesting ones. They've helped through when you get those cravings. So that way you're not eating the same thing over and over and over again. It helps out. So, but one thing, probably the toughest thing that I had to learn while respecting myself, and because there's times you have to basically say, okay, I can't do, you just got to give me room, you got to give me time. That doesn't work for me. Telling family and and friends and stuff, they're establishing those lines, saying that, okay, this isn't okay. That's probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And saying though, when somebody asks for help, it's extremely rare, but to say no on occasion is okay, just because you need to make sure you preserve your health and your sanity. As you're going through all this, you're going to be drained. You're going to be, to me, there's times I get irritable, but it seems like the pressures of work and home and family and everything else, after a while, they just wear on you. So sometimes just keep in mind, it's okay to say no once in a while, because you need to recharge yourself. You need to back off and just say, okay, I need an afternoon or something like that, or to say, give me a break. Let me get back to you here in a little bit there. Don't answer the phone. Don't answer the texts, or emails or whatever it is, and just give yourself that little bit of break that you need. So it's not being self-centered. It's not being egotistical. It's just self-preservation. You're protecting your positive energy, your good vibes, all the way through. So just be really careful, and it's okay. I'm still learning this myself. I'm not that great at it, but I'm still trying to learn myself. So, but I just thought it would be a great way of ending the podcast today, to let you know that it's okay to think of yourself from time to time. So don't be too hard on yourself. You've done a lot of changes. I'm proud of you. You've come a long ways. there's just it's incredible journey as you're going through this, and hopefully these podcasts help in some small way to help pull you through, or gives you an idea of a new way of looking at it, or just anything to try to help out. That's why I do these podcasts. So hopefully there's something in here that you can take away then and you can enjoy. But that's all I got for today, for today's podcast. Just keep in mind, remember, you've got this. I believe in you. I know you're going to get to that finish line. I know you're going to make it. Just remember to always keep up positive thoughts. Always take the high road if you can. I know it's not always easy to do that. But in the end, when you can look in the mirror and you see that person looking back at you, and you can smile and say, hey, I'm proud of that person that I see. I did the right thing. I took the high road. Then you've done all the right things. That's fantastic. And, it's going to make it easier to cross that finish line when you get to the weight that you want to be at. So just remember, you got this. And I want to say thank you again for always listening to the podcast. I really, really appreciate it. Remember to hit like, share, comment, rate, whatever platform you're on there, anything to help out, so that way we can add more to our extended family. We can help more people. We can be there for more people. So that's, try to do all you can to try to talk about that, tell your friends and family. So, okay, as always, I'm going to end the podcast there with my dad joke of the day. So get ready to roll your eyes and groan. So here we go. Do you know what the ocean said to the beach? Nothing. It just waved. All right, roll your eyes. I know you are. I can already hear it already. I can see it. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate everything that you do, everything that you're doing to help support us. As always, you got this. And remember, all my love and support, Sean.